Green Hell is one of those games where everything wants you dead. No map, no mercy, parasites, infections, tribesmen, predators, one bad decision and it's over. In this run, I had to build a base, survive starvation, cure infections with literal maggots, and somehow fight off tribesmen, all while my body was slowly falling apart. This is how my first real survival run in Green Hell went. I started the run doing the usual early game scramble, grabbing sticks and rope so I could make some basic tools. While I was searching for stones, I stumbled across a cave. Now, normally that sounds promising, but going into a cave in Green Hell without weapons is basically a death wish. So I did the smartest thing I do all run and walked away. Not far from there, I found an abandoned snare trap and some nuts right next to it. That was a huge early win, because fat is surprisingly hard to get early on. I kept searching for stones, but for a while the jungle decided I only deserved sticks. Eventually, I found some big rocks, broke them down into smaller ones, and finally crafted a stone axe and a stone knife. Around the same time, I found a plant I could use to make bandages. That was massive, because in this game, it's not if you get injured, it's when. With tools and bandages ready, I started thinking about my next big priority, a base. And more importantly, water. I spent a long time searching for a water source and came up empty. All I found was a dried up river, some mushrooms nearby, and a snail that I definitely wasn't going to pass up. Then I stumbled across a wrecked car, and this thing was stacked. I got a bunch of food and a bidon to store water, which is insanely valuable early on. That one find probably saved the run. I kept moving deeper into the jungle, passed through into another area, and once again ignored another cave like my life depended on it. Because it did. Running past another dried riverbed, I found fruit, a dead toucan, parasite-curing mushrooms, and finally, water. That was it. Base time. I found a spot about the water source, but almost instantly heard the indigenous people nearby, which meant I had about two options: leave immediately or die. So I chose option 1. A short walk later, I found what looked like a perfect location, close to water and relatively safe. I placed down a shelter, campfire, and a bed, and immediately got to work. I started building the shelter with palm leaves and logs, completely ignoring the ant nest nearby. At that point, I just needed something up before nightfall. After chopping down some trees and gathering more palm leaves, I finally finished the shelter. I set up a campfire, collected water, made a hand drill, and then realized I couldn't light the fire yet because the leaves were still wet. So I went to sleep instead, hoping nothing killed me overnight. Next morning, I crafted a stone spear and went out gathering rope and food. I harvested fruit for seeds so I could start farming, found bananas, and then ran into tribesmen again. So I immediately turned around and went home. Once I was safe, I crafted a bow, harvested dead birds for feathers, and made arrows. I ate one nut for fat and saved the other to plant later. Then I set up 3 small planting boxes, crafted them using sticks and planks from logs, planted my seeds, and watered everything. I also built 2 large planting boxes for bananas and nuts, and after that I washed myself, because eating while dirty in these games gives you parasites, but still I had to drink water that gave me parasites anyway. Luckily, I had the mushrooms to cure it. I watered the plants again and started chopping trees for big planters. Once those were finished, I planted the nuts and the bananas. By this point, I was starving. I cooked the birds and snails I had gathered and ate everything. That's when I learned you can't boil water in the bidon, and I accidentally put my fire out. At that point, I gave up and went to sleep. When I woke up, there was a snake nearby. I killed it, harvested the meat, grabbed some water, and collected more plants for bandages. I explored an area near my base that I thought led somewhere new, but it turned out to be the same jungle. Along the way, I found a new type of fruit and accidentally picked up an armadillo. Turns out, you can make animal pens in this game. My stomach wasn't in the mood to start a zoo, so I turned him into dinner instead. Back at base, I cooked the meat, and I swear, waiting for that armadillo to cook was taking forever. But then I realized something terrifying. My fat levels were critically low, and my nut plants weren't even close to growing yet. While waiting, I tried my notebook and built a long stick stand, because I had way too many of them lying around. After eating, I put out the fire so it wouldn't attract tribesmen, and immediately got covered in leeches. Disgusting. Then I found coconuts. Finally, I shot them down with my bow, ate one for fat, and and crafted coconut bidons from the shell so I could finally boil water properly. Everything was starting to stabilize, until this happened. As I was heading out again, a puma attacked me out of nowhere. Somehow I managed to shoot it in the head, but not before it left me bleeding. I bandaged up, harvested the puma, and got a ton of meat and bones. But there was a problem. My wound was infected, which meant I would never heal unless I treated it properly with maggots. Later, I went out to gather feathers, killed a snake, hunted parrots, and crafted more arrows. Some of my bananas spoiled, so I used them as fertilizer. I armed another snare trap and immediately forgot about it. Then everything started going downhill. I got a fever, my energy dropped fast, and I barely made it home after killing another armadillo and almost passed out before I got to bed. When I woke up, snake meat had spoiled, but that was actually my plan. I harvested it for maggots, used them to clean my infected wound, ate a candy bar, and rebandaged myself. Disgusting, but effective. Feeling better, I explored a nearby cave and immediately got stung by a scorpion. I was now poisoned and had fever once again. I checked it out anyway, found what looked like an elevator, but no supplies. My health was dropping fast, but thankfully the poison wore off before it could kill me. On my way back, I somehow got lost and nearly passed out from low energy, but eventually found my way home and collapsed into bed. After sleeping it off, my fat was still dangerously low. The candy bars weren't helping, so I went out once again, scouting the tribesman camp, planning to attack them later, and luckily I found nuts nearby, which saved me. I fertilized my plants, slept a bit, then finally boiled clean water for the first time in the run. The next morning, my crops were ready. I harvested a ton of fruit and nuts, ate immediately, and my health finally stabilized. I needed protein too, so I hunted a large animal, cooked the meat which took forever, but it was absolutely worth it. Full health, full recovery. With my strength back, I crafted more arrows and practiced blocking and dodging. Then I went after the tribesmen. My aim was terrible at first, but I managed to kill the first one silently. The second rushed me, but I pulled out my spear and took him down. The third one tried to run, but he didn't make it far. I looted their camp, found a bone knife, charcoal, and a smoker I couldn't even craft yet. I threw away the human meat because no thanks and walked away with only a scratch. And that's how this Green Hell run went, from barely surviving to fully recovering and taking control of the jungle. If you enjoyed this run, leave a like, subscribe for more survival content, and I'll see you in the next one.